craziest part about this is you haven't even seen my most unhinged screenshots yet. Wait until you see how far these importers will truly go to lie to people and protect their own business. First, I need to give you guys a context. This is Paulo Neto, and in my opinion, he is one of the most unhinged, dishonest, and unethical bird importers on the internet. I have strong feelings towards people who I believe don't treat birds the way they should be treated, don't respect them the way they should be, and are not honest when it comes to the sale of birds. Now, Paulo has lied about our interaction publicly on the internet. It's been alleged to me by people through DMs that he's lied about other things as well. And the problem I have with these types of importers is that you really don't know how they treat their birds on the back end. You don't know if they're even selling you a healthy bird or a sick bird, because if they'll lie about one thing, what else will they lie about? And you just don't know if the transaction is going to go as it should when they are not honest with you, right? He can just turn around, lash out, get mad at you, have the whole group that he's a part of come at you and shut you down, and you would never be able to do anything about it. This is my concern here for new people looking to buy birds. I found Paulo through many posts in a Facebook group called the National Finch and Softbill Society, where he posted birds he had available for sale, and people were able to reach out to him about buying these birds. If you look in the comments of this group, people were saying what a nice person he is to deal with, how honest he is, and how he's a reputable importer, so this whole group was hyping him up. Now, the problem is later that I saw this group turn into a cult, essentially, in my opinion. I didn't know this when I first saw these posts because I was a newcomer looking to get my hands on some really rare and exotic birds. He catfished me in with exactly what I wanted, the beautiful pictures, and looking back, I really regret messaging him, and I feel stupid for trying to buy through someone on Facebook like this because it's actually against Facebook's guidelines to sell live animals in the first place, and that should have been the first red flag. However, if you guys do want to join this group, report the posts and report everything that has to do with the sale of animals in the group itself, I wouldn't be able to stop you. This post is not to incite hate towards any group or any individual, but this does break Facebook's guidelines that are in place to protect people from getting hurt by individuals like this and scammed. So if you guys did feel like you wanted to go report him, I wouldn't be able to stop you. Let's get into what he actually said. This is going to start off normal and there's going to be a lot of explanation here, but trust me, it's all important to the context of the story, because later when you see how unhinged he gets and how much he attacks me and my family, it's going to make a lot of sense. So I messaged him saying, hello, nice to meet you. I wanted to know what types of birds he had for sale, exactly how his reservation process worked, and if he was able to ship, what his prices were. I specifically asked for all this information, which is important for later. He responded to me telling me that 2 finches I was looking for were available, strawberry finches for $600 a pair, which is twice the average market value, by the way, and then painted finches for $1,000 each pair. He said the way he works is I have to put down 50% right now and then pay the other 50% within a week, because this was on August 29th. So he slipped in this part about usually he starts reservations a long time ago and I'm really last minute. I didn't really understand why he had to mention that. Like, I just found him on Facebook, as I mentioned. There was nothing I could do about the timing, but when you see the rest of it, I feel like it was a sales tactic. Here's where I ask specifically about the shipping. He says I'd ship through USPS and $100 shipping and box. That's his fee. And I'm asking him all these questions, and these are the answers that I received. Also important to note, I did ask him if pickup is required because I was only looking to buy 1 pair. So this would have been the point when he could have told me that he couldn't ship 1 pair and I had to come pick them up. But he didn't give me that information. Now, back at that time, I was just putting out feelers for birds. I had just acquired Tweety's parents, and I was quarantining them, so my house was quite full with birds already, and I didn't have enough setups to bring on a new pair in that exact week that he wanted to take the deposit from me. So I said, I appreciate your time. In my last message to him, thank you for answering my questions. I'll let you know if I'm going to commit with a deposit, but I don't think it'll be likely because I just got other birds. And, I'll follow back up with you to see what you have when I'm able to really take on more pairs. To that, he responded to me and said above this message that if I didn't buy right then and there, he probably wouldn't sell to me, he'd probably just keep them. And I said, okay, that's fine. Like, I can't do anything about that if that's what you want to do. But that was the second thing that struck me as a sales tactic, basically saying that if I didn't buy right then and there, they wouldn't be available, trying to pressure me to buy right at that time. And 2 other people did come forward and messaged me that he did the same thing to them and then blocked them when they didn't buy right when he wanted them to. He didn't do that to me though. We just stopped talking, and then I messaged him a month later asking if I could still acquire a pair of his birds. At this point, he sends me a new price list and noticed that the prices have gone up about $100 for the painted finches that I was interested in, that I specified I was interested in the last time. So I thought that was another really interesting factor to this, was that he knew that he had me on the hook now. He knew I wanted to buy, and he raised the price, and he kind of slipped it in there without telling me or really giving me any explanation as a customer. Not that he owes me an explanation, but these are just things that I'm looking at in my head and thinking, I don't know this person that well. He's somebody I met online on Facebook. I've never heard anything about him other than what I've seen in a few posts. So I'm just keeping this in mind as I'm going forward with this transaction. And then he hits me with, just so you know, I don't ship only one pair of birds. I'd asked him multiple times about his shipping process and if I could pick up. So the fact that he didn't mention that before and now he's mentioning that, I found really unprofessional. And also this implied to me that if I wanted him to ship the birds a few states over, I was going to have to buy more than one pair. And if you look at the prices of pairs, that's going to increase my initial investment with him a lot over the internet, online, and I don't know this guy. So red flags start going off for me at this point because I've had conversations with legitimate bird scammers before, and this is exactly how they've spoken to me. Once they know they have you on the hook, they'll increase their prices, try to pressure you to get the most money out of you. So of course this is in the back of my mind right now when it's somebody without a real profile picture, which is a bird, and I don't really know who they are. I was really confused by this, so I did say, hey, I'm ready to buy the finches and pay in full, but why wouldn't you be able to ship only one pair a few states over? I already asked you about your shipping method and you never mentioned that, and I don't understand how that makes sense, and I didn't understand how that made sense because I've actually bought birds multiple times successfully online before. They've always been able to ship one pair or one single bird as long as I cover the shipping fees. It doesn't cost them anything, so there shouldn't be any issue with this, logically speaking, because I know how the shipping process works. He should just be able to charge me a little bit more. Then he hits me with this screenshot of our previous conversation that I showed you guys where he just told me the shipping was $100 and that he uses USPS, nothing about one pair. And I said, yes, he told me the shipping fees, but I don't see anywhere where you can't ship one pair. Then he says, my friend. Another red flag is going off at this point because, again, this is how scammers have spoken to me in the past, word for word. I don't do shipping, I don't have time, I have to pay a friend $100 to do it for me, so I don't make enough money in one pair for that. This struck me as extremely unprofessional because that's not the customer's fault. You need to structure your fees accordingly so that you can provide what you're selling. You're advertising these birds on Facebook that you are selling them, and people are coming to you to buy a pair of them, and then you're not able to do shipping, and you don't have your shipping figured out. That just strikes me as really unprofessional, and this isn't personal towards him. This isn't any business. Any business needs to have their shipping figured out, and you shouldn't be giving me this much information. It's TMI. It's not my responsibility how much money you make or if you have to pay a friend or what you have to do to ship your birds out. That's your responsibility. And this felt to me like he was trying to make me feel bad for him, like he doesn't make that much money and he's doing me a favor to try to be more workable with him or pay him more. I don't know. But he said in the next message, I'm shipping one pair to Florida and that person pays extra. So you can do it. I was really confused because he just gave me two different answers. He said, I don't do shipping for only one pair, I don't make enough money. And then he said, I do in certain cases for extra money. So which is it? And if it's an extra fee to pay to have only one pair shipped, why wouldn't you just bring that up initially and say, hey, if you want only one pair, then you have to pay this much extra so I can make a profit. That's all you had to say. But he didn't say that. He went through first telling me that he only shipped more than one pair and then I had to buy more, and then he brings it up later. So that's like another red flag for me, is he tried to make me think that I had to buy more than one pair before he admitted that he could do it. He knew that I was only trying to buy one pair. So that just really rubbed me the wrong way, and red flags were going off. Again, I don't know this person, but it's really giving me like reminders of when I've spoken to scammers in the past. And at this point, my husband comes home from work. He starts looking over the conversation. He starts looking over his Facebook profile, and he starts thinking that it's a scam as well. One other point I want to bring up is that I understand he's importing and it costs a lot of money, but I do think that he's lying a little bit when he says that he's not making any money, because I know for a fact you can go to countries in Europe like Greece and buy birds like this for $30 American a pair. He's selling them for $1,100 here. I understand that there is importing fees, you have to pay for a license, and you have to take the risk of them being in a facility for 30 days. I understand all that, and there's losses, and they don't all make it, and you lose money along the way. But Paulo is importing hundreds of pairs, to my knowledge. and he's selling them for on average $1,000 each. So that would mean to the average person that he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing this. And I know that's not all profit, but there is profit in there. So to give the implication that you're losing money and you're not making a lot on this, I just think is really dishonest. And that's why I asked, like, I don't understand how you're not making money with $1,100 when you just raised your fees on me, and I already said it's fine, I'll pay extra. The fees were never an issue to me because I really wanted to get my hands on a pair of these birds, and he was the only one selling them at the time, so I knew that I had to play by his rules. It's not fair and it's not right, but I knew that that was what I had to do, and I sucked it up, and I never complained about that. Luckily, since then, by the way, you guys, through Facebook, I was able to connect with someone who's going to give me a pair of birds for less than he was charging, and they're much nicer. So just so you know, I did get it sorted out, and I did find someone else that's much more trustworthy to buy from. So don't worry, I'm still getting a pair of birds after all that I was on my bucket list that I did want, that is more rare and more valuable than the ones he was selling. Honestly, God bless that person. I'm going to tag them somewhere around this video. You should go follow their Instagram account because they are just an amazing human being. And then he asked me to call him. Now, my issue with this was none of my questions had been answered. I had a lot of red flags already going off in my head. And my husband's sitting beside me saying, no, you shouldn't call him because if it is a scammer, he'll get your information, he'll get your phone number, he could track where we live. And that's just not safe. We don't know who this person is. We haven't received trustworthy information from him so far. And I don't think it's wise. He's like, you should tell him no. Tell him, that this is not being articulated the way that it should be, and that it's his responsibility to figure out his fees. Like, this is not on you. He's just trying to make me feel bad, like it was my fault, but it wasn't. For those of you that know me, you know I'm in a traditional marriage, so I submit to my husband. He told me to say this, that I don't appreciate that how this is being handled, which was just honest, it was just a fact. It did rub me the wrong way as a customer. Your process of shipping isn't the customer's problem, it's your responsibility to frame your fees accordingly. And I'm not sure if I can trust this now. I need to do more research because I really wanted to go ask around more about this guy before continuing with him just because of all the red flags. But he responded like this. He said that I'm the last person trying to buy birds. Like he said before, he doesn't make enough money to serve me. I never asked him to serve me, I just wanted to go do more research. And then he said, for your information now, even if you want to buy 10 pairs, I don't sell to you. My birds, my rules. You were the first person that complained, so buy. In caps, like he's yelling at me. Like, this is so unprofessional. There was no reason for this. And also, by the way, I can confirm that I'm not the first person that's complained. I had multiple other accounts alleged to me that they have had many issues with him being dishonest. And I might share some of those in this video, but I'm going to just keep them really private to respect the people that did come forward and tell me their stories, because I can tell that they were really afraid to post them online just because the National Finch and Software Society is such a cult and they will attack you if you speak out against this person. I can tell that they're just not comfortable with going public, and it's really unfortunate. Also, I never had any issue with his rules, but I really didn't understand what they were because they weren't articulated to me correctly. So now that we're past all of the story and the context, this is where it gets juicy because I posted these screenshots in the Facebook group asking if this person was legitimate just because I didn't know. It really, if you go through this conversation and compare it to a bird scam, this was giving all the signs. Usually when you tell them you won't buy, the scammers do get angry like this. So at this point, my husband and I genuinely think it's a scam, and we thought, oh my gosh, he might be doing it to other people in the group too. I'm going to post the screenshots because he said what he said, I said what I said, and he should be held accountable at the very least. You shouldn't be speaking to people like this in the group. There's just no reason for it. I understand maybe being a little offended about this, but I'm just seeing the facts as a customer, and I'm not comfortable buying from you at that point. And at that point, you just have to respect that. But of course, he didn't respect it, and he decided to go tell people lies on the internet about me. So now I'm going to come forward and tell the truth about this person because this isn't right. This behavior was condoned by the National Finch and Software Society. The mods told me that I needed to stop talking about it and that it was embarrassing for him. Let that sink in. They told me that it was embarrassing for him because I posted word for word what he wrote to me. He embarrassed himself by speaking to me that way. I cannot control what he says. I want that information out there. They tried to take the post down. I got it put back up, and then it got taken down again. So that was just clear information control. The mods were in on it, the president of the NFSS, and a lot of other members came in, didn't read the full story, didn't even acknowledge what he said was wrong, and just blindly defended him, saying all sorts of nonsensical things, making threats at me, attacks on my husband, on my family. They went and stalked my TikTok account, and they insulted me about doing ASMR. So that was kind of the rebuttal to that, was just to try to insult and bully me out of their group and get me to go away. But I'm not going away. I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to set the record straight for the many people that this has happened to that are too nervous to do so, and I don't blame them at all. This is a very messed up group that will say anything and everything to discredit you. I understand, like, if you're not on the internet publicly, this can be really scary, and like these people could try to come find you. Some of these people seemed really unhinged, and I understand that. So everyone who didn't want to speak out about this, your feelings are completely valid. So he rebuttals with, yes, I changed the price because it's not fair to other people that reserved the birds a long time ago, and I should charge you the same price. But if this was the logic, why wouldn't you just charge me the same price from the beginning, so you were ripping off people all along? I don't get that. I'm going to skip some of this because he just starts going off on his own tangent, and then he lies about things like saying I had to put money together for a deposit. That's actually not true. I'll show you what I said to him. This is exactly what was said. I said, okay, I really appreciate you answering all my questions. Like I told you guys before, I'm being completely honest here. I will be in touch if I'm able to put down deposits and payments before September 8th, but I need to speak to my husband first since we just bought more birds last month. So what this means, deposits are a commitment. I'm not going to commit to birds if I don't even know if I have the space for them. We just bought more. This is not me saying that I need to come up with the money for it. He's trying to twist what I said and make it seem like I had an issue with the price, which is later on the narrative that his cult tries to portray, in my opinion. And then I said, either way, I'm sure I will be coming to you in the future for the beautiful species you import, and I'm glad to know about you. I'm trying to be super nice. He goes on to say, I asked you to call me to explain better how hard it is to import birds. All the process is very hard and expensive. And when I said to pay extra, yes, I can ship because that's my profit. And I don't owe you anything to do it for nothing. So I want to address this right here. He actually just said call him. He didn't say he was going to explain anything. And at that point, it was already the end of the conversation. I already didn't want to buy from him. I already didn't trust him. So at that point, I just said, respectfully, no, I don't want to. Like, I don't have to call a stranger on the internet and give you my information if I don't feel comfortable. And that is my right as a customer. Also, this is not your customer's problem how hard it is for you to import birds or how expensive it is, allegedly, because I feel like he was really dialing this up for sympathy in the group at this point, trying to emphasize how hard and expensive it is, yada, yada, yada. This is not the customer's responsibility. You need to frame your fees accordingly in any business. And then he said I declined to sell more expensive birds to somebody because he only just wants one pair, but he also contradicted that, like I showed you before, saying he did sell a single pair to someone in a state that's farther away than I was from him. And then he said, so I don't force nobody to buy birds from me, but I have my rules. Again, getting angry, trying to paint this narrative that things he said weren't pressuring me to buy more than one pair, which in my opinion they did. And I never had a problem with his rules. But at this point, I had a problem with him saying all this stuff about my husband that he doesn't even know if it's true. He's just saying it and trying to paint this picture that we had to save money for a deposit. We had trouble with his fees. I said, you're such a liar. I have the screenshots. I told you we just bought more pairs a month ago, and you're making assumptions based off that. Like, he assumed the rest of this. He didn't verify it with me. He hasn't messaged me since that last message. He hasn't tried to apologize, try to work it out privately. He's just gone public, as I did, and spouted all these lies in the comments, which also says a lot about him. What's even more interesting, though, is when I went back to the conversation after these comments, I noticed he started deleting his messages. Why would you need to delete your messages if you have nothing to hide? This was my response to his previous comment, saying like the price changing was fine, but he slipped it in there, like I wouldn't notice it and didn't mention it after he already told me one thing, and I said, I don't know you, and this is exactly what scammers do as well. They try to hook you in by paying more. Literally look up any bird scam. I'm glad to hear others haven't been scammed by you, allegedly, like the people in the comments were defending him, but I don't know if those were real accounts. But your business practices are dishonest in my opinion. It could be maybe how you text, but this attitude of you don't owe your customers anything doesn't sit right with me. That's not how you run a successful business in my opinion. And now you're trying to come and slander me and my husband after you know what was said. You continue to prove my point about you. It's just the truth. Like, you're making up things like we said we needed to save for a deposit, we couldn't afford your fees, whatever you're trying to imply when that just wasn't what was said. Now, this is where he starts to get really unhinged. He starts getting really angry at me in the comments because in my post, I said I felt pressured to buy more birds, when he said I had to buy more than one pair for him to be able to ship them, which is true. That is how I felt. It's my valid opinion as a customer. But he gets mad and says, and it's true, I forced you to buy more birds. Look at how many punctuation marks he used. Like, he's mad at this point, which is just a conversation about like your business practices. It should not get you this worked up if you're really doing the right thing and you're honest, which is, this is just showing, he's just telling on himself here. I just said I don't ship only one pair. You just have to say I don't want. Yes, you do ship one pair. You told me that in your DMs, which I showed you guys. You just don't need to make a big deal of that. So he's gaslighting me. He's telling me my opinion isn't valid. I shouldn't be sharing this, essentially. He said it in other comments too, but this is the Spark Notes. I'm only showing you a few of what was 200 comments on this post. And then he said, if you can't, okay. I can, I just don't want to. If you don't want to, okay. Yeah, no, I don't want to shop from you now after this experience. You keep your money, I keep my birds, bye. You've already said bye to me, and you're coming back and starting this up again. And then I didn't respond. He says, looks like you don't have nothing else to do, bye again. Okay, how many times are you going to say bye? I'm not responding to you. And then he said, I still don't know why I'm wasting my precious time with you. Me either. If this doesn't show you everything you need to know about this man and how unhinged he is, how he's getting so angry over something that should have been so simple, let me show you a message I got from a woman who was also harmed by his dishonest business practices. I'm going to keep it super anonymous. I really want to thank this woman for coming forward because she made me feel valid and like I wasn't totally crazy in feeling the way I felt and like it hadn't only happened to me. So I really appreciated that. And then I also found posts of his from the past that show his true colors as well. I had this come into my inbox and it's been alleged to me that, you know, he does import a lot of birds and it's a difficult thing to do and very time consuming and costly. We all respect that. We all appreciate that. Okay? No one's saying otherwise. But this woman said he was not honest with me, so my experience was not great. I further asked her to go into more detail, but unfortunately she did not feel comfortable doing so, and I wanted to respect that. I told her I don't want to risk tens of thousands with someone I don't trust because that is how much you can spend with these people and actually how much he wanted to get from me. As was explained in some other comments, people said that he shouldn't take me seriously unless I spent more than $5,000 with him, which is absolutely insane to me. I'm not going to gamble $5,000 to see if you're legit or not. I'm going to make one purchase with you first. And his like little cult minion followers, in my opinion, were saying that if I didn't spend that, then he shouldn't even take me seriously as a customer and I didn't deserve respect. That's really messed up. But that's a side note to the main story that I said this is important for me to know because so many people are defending him, you know, and I want to hear the real stories, not just the people that are maybe paid to be in his corner. I don't know if they're getting a kickback. I don't know what the relation is. So she said, I do business with good, honest people, never again with him. Glad people had a good experience, but I did not. But I have wonderful birds, and I deal with the most reputable people that raise them now. Good luck. So that was interesting. And then I dove back even further into his history on Facebook in this group, and I found this super unhinged post from him in caps saying, it's funny from all the people that know me in the group for many years, no one come to the front and make any comments about me in my last post when this person called me a scammer a few times, and no one interfered. Thanks, everyone. Like, he seems super angry that people didn't defend him, and I'm looking back and I'm thinking maybe there's a reason why people didn't defend you. Were you doing shady things? Do you have shady business practices? Probably. And if somebody called you a scammer before, it means I'm not the first one to voice a concern, as you said to me, which was a complete lie to make me feel worse about myself and make me feel like I was in the wrong. So this should show you everything you need to know about Paulo Neto. And if you were to feel so compelled, you would be able to go on Facebook or create an account and report his account and his posts that are selling birds online because this is against Facebook guidelines and this is a public profile. I'm not telling you whether you should do this or not. I know what I'm going to do, and you guys can decide for yourself what you feel is right to do in your heart. But people like you and I have a power in that we get to report these people. We get to, you know, we're the masses. We get to decide whether these people are successful or not, whether they make money or not, whether their business thrives or not, by who we choose to buy from, how we choose to handle the situation. And that's why I'm speaking out on this, because this has clearly been going on for years, and the amount of vitriol I received over just stating facts in this Facebook group and saying, hey, I think this is unethical, shows me that it's time for a change. Men like this hold almost all the power in the bird industry right now. They have the money to import birds in large numbers, the rare birds, and they'll sell them for really overinflated prices. In my opinion, there's really good breeders out there too, and I love them, and you guys know I talk about them on my page in other videos. But that's not what this is about. This is about certain men who treat people however they want and get away with it because they know they can. And this is an example of that. I think that he saw me as a young woman, thought that he could push me around, and then when I spoke out about it, he tried to silence me. And that doesn't sit right with me. Please let me know what you think in the comments of this video. I would really love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll continue to support my channel. You guys know how much I truly and genuinely love and appreciate your support, and so does Tweety. So if you have any other topics you want me to cover, leave them in the comments. I was watching this back the next day, and I can't believe I forgot to tell you guys some critical information, which is that Paulo does not have a website, and he never even showed me any proof that he was an importer, no documentation. And then I found this post that clearly shows he has a preconceived notion that people waste his time and don't have money for his birds. Basically what he's been spouting about me all over Facebook. He's clearly had bad experiences with other people and is taking that on me and projecting it on me. So, you know what, that's clear here from this post. But also, again, talking about the sale of animals on Facebook is against the regulations. That's not why I'm back here, though. I've actually had people come back at me and say, oh, how could you feel uncomfortable to call him "you're the problem" on Facebook? And I want to ask you this. If you genuinely thought somebody was scamming you and had no evidence otherwise, would you call them and give them any personal information? Would you call them and give them any personal information? Like, is that something you would do? Maybe it is. That's not something I felt comfortable doing, and it was extremely appalling to me that other women couldn't understand from an emotional side. Like, I'm a young woman, and this is clearly an older man that I don't know. I don't want to get involved with him more than I have to if I sense that something's wrong. I'm going to reiterate, this is not somebody with a professional website, not somebody that showed me documentation that they really do this. It's somebody showing me pictures and videos, as any scammer could, on Facebook, and posting in this one group that continues to allow them to promote things against Facebook guidelines, and they seem to back them up no matter what, which makes me wonder if there's some sort of kickback for them or what they're getting out of it, because they're risking their whole group for this man and defending him tooth and nail from what I've seen. And there's other importers out there, and he's obviously not of the best moral character, and they're attaching their organization to that, so that's really concerning in itself, which is why I no longer trust this organization after I've seen like how the mods have responded to the situation and condoning this immoral behavior and trying to shut it down and hide it. Let me show you a screenshot from, I believe it's the owner. Yeah, so it was the president of the NFSS, Rebecca Michael. She responded to me and said, this conversation has went on long enough, and I feel like it's getting to the point where it's insulting to Paulo. If raising genuine concerns about word for word what he said and the moral ethics behind it is insulting to him, then what information are you going to allow us to share? Are you never going to allow us to share anything negative and condone things might even be happening that are illegal in your administration, in your organization, that you're condoning? If you're willing to say this, I don't know. I can't believe that another woman would shut down a young woman's voice when she has a genuine concern with screenshots and evidence to back it up. That was really appalling to me. The original poster asked a question and voiced concerns. Yes, I did, and I tried to do it respectfully and just draw parallels to other scam conversations I've had. Responses from virtually everyone, not true. Clarified Paulo as legitimate contact for anyone seeking birds. So she lied there. Not everybody responded and said that. Other people responded saying they had bad experiences. Other people DM'd me. This is not okay. Controlling information and shutting down stories of an importer you support doing things that are unethical and morally wrong is not okay. And then she says, most importantly, Facebook has rules against sales and purchases of any animal. Rebecca, I found the sale of his animals on your NFSS page, girl. That's how I found him. Talk about hypocrisy here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Are you allowing people to sell on your page or not talk about it? Like, which is it? So she said, so this conversation needs to end or be taken private. And that wasn't even what the conversation was about. The conversation was about his moral ethics as an importer and the things he said to me in a conversation. Not, like, we weren't selling animals in this post. So she's just trying to shut it down. That's clear to me at this point. She said, thank you to everyone for their contribution. to the conversation agreeing to end it at this point. No one agreed. She's just deciding, I'm the president, I'm going to come in on my little power trip and shut this down. And this wasn't the only response I received from her and other members of the NFSS. This is clearly a very corrupt organization that does not care about the experience of their members, or even if their members are dealing with people that are ethical and safe. And that's a concern to me, and that's why I will personally be looking into reporting them. And if you guys want to do the same, that's on you. That's up to you. You guys can choose to support me in this, and I will be creating my own Facebook groups that are kind to people, educational, because it's another issue I've had continuously with the NFSS. When I've been posting things about trying to breed Forbes parrot finches, the amount of negativity and vitriol I've gotten from certain members saying that I'm not doing the right things, I'll never be successful, I'll never get them to breed. Well, Tweety's here, so you guys were wrong. And I want to create Facebook groups that are more positive and more constructive to people getting into the hobby and learning how to take care of these amazing birds and get access to them. I'm going to start importing myself. I'm going to have my own Facebook groups. I'm going to take the power back from these people who are on power trips and are condoning this bad, possibly illegal, allegedly, behavior. So if you want to support that, I will link my own Facebook groups somewhere around this video. Let's make a change. We can do it. We're the younger generation, and eventually these people are going to retire, as I think one of the other comments said, and it's going to be us that is in the hobby and has the control. And we need to take the power back from people like Paulo and Rebecca who have no morals. For me, it's morals over money. I genuinely care about the health and care of my animals, and just from the responses I received from these people, I question whether they do the same. But aside from that, Paulo saying that he can't sell somebody one pair also gives me ethical concerns, because you have to think about it this way, right? If you have a profit margin on a single pair of birds, that doesn't change with shipping. If shipping is $150, which on average it has been when I've ordered other birds, you charge the customer $150, your profit margin is still the same on that pair of birds, whether you sell one pair or 10 pairs. And that's another final point that I wanted to add to this conversation, is that he was saying he's going to lose money if he sells one pair. I call BS. Because many people do it and they don't lose money. You're going to make the same amount if you have the same profit margin on one pair. He just wants people to buy more than one pair. And that's his choice. It's his birds, like he said. But I don't believe him when he says he's not going to make money on one pair. You charge the customer whatever the shipping costs. You're making your profit margin on that pair either way. Your business doesn't make sense, and I'm calling it out, and I'm going to be diving into it and digging into it and researching, and I'm going to be watching the NFSS, I'm going to be watching Paulo, and I will report to you guys any other behavior that I see that is shady. And also, if you have any of your own stories, feel free to send them to me. I promise to keep you anonymous, and I will not give these people any inkling of who you are. I can blur things out. Feel free to send your stories to me and know that I care about your stories. I want to read them if you're open to sharing them, and I want to hear your real experiences, and I won't judge you the way these people do. Truthfully, I don't want to leave this video on a negative note. I want to leave it on a positive note. So I want to say that if anyone is watching from the NFSS or Paulo himself, just because I have posted this doesn't mean that we can't still rectify the situation or work together to work it out. You are still welcome to message me privately, not publicly, privately, and respectfully to work towards a solution. I would be willing to post an update if we are able to reach a solution privately. I want to see this situation corrected for the people that have come out publicly and been harmed by Paulo and myself. That is the goal with this, to move the community forward in a positive direction. I do think there are things that need to be corrected in the way things are handled right now with the NFSS and definitely with Paulo's business. But I also believe that just because people have made mistakes in the past doesn't mean that they can't take steps forward to correct those mistakes. And doesn't mean that this has to be the be-all and end-all and like this is it, this is exactly how they operate forever. I don't believe in that, and I would love to foster change and positive steps forward. That's what I'm here for. I'm not too prideful or full of ego to work things out with people. And I'm only making this video for educational purposes. So I hope that people did get education out of this, and I hope that together as a community we can take positive steps forward to make this a better place for everyone, where people are not spoken to negatively, are not harmed, not being spoken to dishonestly, and just genuinely helped to care for these birds and actually get them into the hands of more people in the United States to make them more accessible for everybody.